Alrighty, killed the music, and we are back again live. Thank you again for everybody joining us, or might catch us on the video replay. This is Lost Tribes Gaming, and we are playing our Marvel Superheroes games, Modern Age Heroes, once again. So before we go any further, it is the beginning of the month. However, we do not have any birthdays in this particular game, as far as I'm aware of. So we need to roll for some karma.
Cool.
So somebody want to do that?
I rolled last month for birthday karma, so.
I can roll.
Okay.
That's my excuse for not wanting to ruin it.
All right. Rolled a 6 and a d10, and we multiply that, let's see, by 300 because of the group. So that's 1,800 karma.
Nice.
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee. And we currently have the 5,530 karma because Hyperion spent 1,000 karma to upgrade one of his powers, and I've sent that update to you, Jerome.
Yes, I got it.
And okay, cool. And so that would make it Justin's turn now, technically in the improvement cycle. And I figure since Mike isn't here, we can either put him in the cycle as the second to last, because I'm making sure I'm always last, or everybody like re-rolls the position, and one of us rolls for Mike, and we scramble it again. What do you guys think?
The question is, since I used 200 karma last game to get a new ability, does that take up my turn? And should we skip me as well?
I will let you guys decide that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it's your turn again. It was only 200 karma. It's not like you spent 5,000 or something, and it's like, oh no.
It's
Plus,
over
we're just trying to-
9,000.
Yeah.
Because
Plus,
I would like to start to get that electricity power from a feeble up to a poor,
Right.
so I can try and make it bigger EMPs, because I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Because right now, the angler is doubling as the feeble eel.
And that would be 400 karma to go up the poor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'll use my turn for if everyone's okay with it.
I'm fine with that.
I'm down with it.
Okay.
She's down with the sickness.
Yes. It's a good song.
That's 400 then. And that puts us at 6,930, and then it's Shelly's turn. Shelly, did you already know what you wanted to spend karma on?
No, because I kind of wanted to talk with somebody about it. So, go ahead and skip me until we play next, and I'll get with somebody
Sure.
and figure out what I want to do. So, next person in line can go.
Yeah, so keep in mind, I'm missing updated character sheets from, let's see, Angler, Xenofreeze, and and it looks like Lightbringer.
Let's see, my most recent is from 610. Do you have that one?
I do.
Okay.
We're at 9.2 at this point, so I'm wanting to make sure that I've got something most, current, or as current as possible.
So then, all right, if we're skipping Shelly for now, that would make it Derek's turn. Derek, do you know what you want to spend karma on?
No, I had like 3 people to go through before I choose me, so I hadn't even thought about it yet.
Okay.
Too intently. Not yet, anyway.
Sent Jerome.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said sit, Jerome. I was going to say, that's rude.
I am
No,
already sitting.
I thought I sent him an
I am
updated
an
angler,
Irish
but it was. I thought I sent him an updated angler when I sent him an updated
Stolas?
Stolas, yeah.
Yep. Negative Ghost Rider pattern is full.
And I dated it for you as well.
Thank you.
And mine.
9 to 23.
I am. Nothing has changed on mine thus far, up until what will happen on this next upgrade.
Okay.
So I should be. I mean, I don't recall when I sent this last one to you, but I usually when I update it, I send
It
it right
was
to you.
in November. At least that's what it looks like here.
Really?
Yep.
November of last year.
November 12th.
November of next year.
Are my abilities 10, 20, 20, 75, 30, 10, and 6?
I have no idea. I haven't pulled it up. I'm sorry, what?
Do you have it now?
Yeah.
10, 20, 20,
Nope.
75. No? Oh, okay. I will send
And
this to
also,
you.
please make sure not to send me a pencil one. Send me one on the the actual adjustable PDF.
Yep. So I will send this to you momentarily. Would you prefer email?
I'd actually prefer it if you could just drop it in a Facebook chat or in Discord.
Oh, okay. I will attempt to do so.
Should we do power stunts?
Oh, yes. Please.
We can do that.
Might as well. I'm actually just doing some filing here since everybody's starting to send me character sheets all of a sudden mid-game. Come on.
Okay. I need a yellow.
I'm just rolling my
Yay!
Nice.
my teleport score, right?
For your power stunt, yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Kind of had a brain fart there.
It's in the Discord chat. Sorry.
Okay, I'll have to get that later because I can't pull it up right now.
Okay, I have a question for you, and I forgot to ask it before the game began.
I have an answer.
How do combination attacks work? Like, can we combine our power stunts into one, or our abilities into one stunt?
It depends.
So-
It depends if it's relative, and the answer is yes, possibly.
We are all relative.
Well, specifically, if I create a big ball of plasma and Shion hits it with a bolt of lightning.
No.
Okay.
Now, if Shion had plasma generation and you have plasma generation, yes.
Well, I was talking about like making an EMP to
No.
where she activates the EMP through the plasma. So
Nope.
that's something I have to do alone. Okay.
Yep. If that's what you're building towards, 100%. Otherwise, she can attempt to do that with just her electricity alone. Otherwise, if you're trying to combine, and this really works for almost anything in the game, which kind of makes it nice to work with. Same with resources. So, for example, let's say Xenofreeze had 20 resources, right? Maybe he has a nice small business somewhere, and he's trying to help Hyperion buy something who has an RM30. Because they're within one rank of one another, they could combine to effectively make a roll of Iron 40.
Okay.
So powers work the same way. So if you both had electricity generation within a power shift of one another, either the same or one higher, one lower, then it would combine to try and make a more powerful one at one shift up.
Understood.
Kind of like combining our hyperintelligence.
Correct.
Right. Nice. Okay.
Exactamundo.
So it looks like we're
So
set for the.
somebody want to give us a game recap then?
Let's see. I think I can do that.
Cool, Daddy-o.
Relatively easy. It was 2 days since the previous game had been, and we've been in actual reality, Prime Earth, for a bit now. Found out that Quantum Unlimited, while we were gone, was pretty much in a state of limbo because we were all gone and not providing direction. During that time, a perfect crime happened where the Powers Division was hollowed out. Like somebody, most likely Mainframe,
Who knows?
knew what was going on and used teleportation technology to pull virtually all of the Powers Division stuff out of there. So, because of all that, Donovan McLaren and McLaren Industries is providing a low-interest business loan for 5 years to help keep staff and keep things afloat. But we did talk to Donovan. He's glad that we're back, explain all this stuff. And Hyperion asked if he could help to obtain like a PR person, and he's working on that.
Mhm.
And he also mentioned that if we wanted to make sure that Quantum Limit is doing well, that we should come up with something impressive, especially because smartphones are a thing now. They're actually on the market. They're expensive, but they're available and apparently being created by New Prussia Technology. We learned that Lightbringer had met with Jurgen recently, talking about a project New Prussia wants to start, which would be creating a moon base, primarily to defend the Earth, especially because of the Tavaxian threat that's currently there, since they seem to be supplying technology to the Russians, and that's all still happening and getting more and more heated as every day goes by. Because Lightbringer recently had a premonition that there would be an attack on New York City, and when we looked in the database, the description of the person she saw destroying everything matched that of Tyrex the Tyrant, who was, again, the individual who destroyed Ixion's race and planet that we learned about a season or two ago.
Yes. Season 1, to be exact.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the goal, to make that base, because that's a terrible threat, and we don't know when that's going to happen. So better safe than sorry. So we went ahead and teleported ourselves on over and talked to Ambassador Nolan at Washington, D.C., because he was the one we helped in Argentina, and said that we could come to him for help in the future, and so we did. He explained that the United States federal government still sees Reichshield as a potential threat. It seems that the Justice Legion, us interacting with them and fighting them at the end of the Argentinian conflict, seems like that's more of a beef that they have with the Legacy and not something that's official or on the books as far as coming after the Legacy. He also suggested that we reach out to Senator Miles Barrett of Texas, because he is now heading a Bureau of Superhuman Activity, and he was also instrumental in shooting down the Deviant Registration Act, and he'd be the best one to talk to if we wanted to figure out how to convince convince the United States government to be willing to work with the New Prussian government to build this base to protect the Earth. And so we're looking into that, and that's more or less where we left off.
Cool.
Something worthy of note is that the angler did bite back his tongue a bit and gave the idea for a way that the deal could work and not Reichshield not appear to be entirely an evil super genius trying to get someone else to fund his moon base.
That's right. Yeah, he's got to own up to the crimes he's committed, do something, say something to that effect. We'll see.
Or possibly front the majority of the cost of the base and call it reparations to humanity.
There you go.
And
That's what my notes said.
Cool.
I wasn't attending last time, but now I have this information that the entity that destroyed my home world is.
We can do that in character if you want.
Yeah.
You probably should.
Because I expect you probably would have had something to say about that.
Flipped your liquid lid.
He's going to boil over. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Ironically.
he's gonna pull that anime like anger thing where they get like a plus sign, but it's just gonna go.
Yes.
It's not gonna actually like form a little cross. It's just gonna bubble and pop temporarily.
Yeah.
No, okay. So at this point, it is mid-afternoon. We'll assume that some of your normal morning lollygagging about or checking in with companies or whatnot, that's all been done currently. You guys are getting back together to kind of troubleshoot and figure out the next direction you're going to want to go in, because obviously, like you just recapped, there's a couple of things you're probably going to want to target and or follow up with, and so we'll assume at this point Hyperion has kind of banged the gavel and called the meeting into order.
Yeah. All right. So I'll assume that we are all like
Yes.
at our ready room then. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Everybody is at the table, and hello, Garrett, hanging out in the chat.
I think you're
Hey, Garrett.
all right. So so Hyperions. Thank you everyone for joining. So, as we already know, creation of the moon base should be top priority due to the premonition that Lightbringer had recently of Tyrix the Tyrant being such an incredible threat. And we don't know when that will happen or exactly how.
Excuse me. What of Tyrix the Tyrant?
Ixion. We recently learned that Tyrix the Tyrant may be on his way, or will be soon, to Earth. Lightbringer told us recently that she has actually had a premonition since she's been developing that part of her cognitive abilities. And the individual she saw who was attacking what seemed to be New York City and destroying it matches what we found in the Vane database with regards to Tyrix the Tyrant. It seems that Electrum in the past has actually fought him individually.
No! Is it in the database of what he did?
So Hyperion goes over to the computer and he pulls up the Tyrix the Tyrant info that's in there and puts it up on the main screen. What all do we see?
It's a small journal entry that was written by getting ready to say elementary by Electrum back when he first clashed with him. He descended on New York City as what he deemed a highly populated capital of alien life and proceeded to lay siege to it. With the intent of taking over the world, Electrum had originally responded, as well as some of the quasi-retired superheroes from World War II, because this predates the Justice Legion. And they clashed with him. They managed to defeat him and push him back to the point of retreat, and he hasn't been seen since.
That, as we can see, is a threat we're dealing with. I know it's difficult to deal with, admittedly, with what you've learned previously.
So, out of character, did everybody else know that's who destroyed my world?
I believe you shared that. So yeah.
Oh, did I? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it in my notes, so
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
then yeah, it did
got
get
it from
shared.
somewhere.
I think we were told from Right Shield
I was going
directly.
to say, I
He
think it was
explaining that
Right
to us.
Shield. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, I don't think I told him that I figured out who that was. He might want to know.
Okay. So, the next plan that we need to initiate, of course, would be to find ways to actually convince our government to cooperate with New Prussia in order to create said base. Likely, Quantum Unlimited could offer its services in creating technology that could enhance not only the United States' standing amongst the world, especially in comparison to New Prussia, but in accelerating the creation and the quality of said base. We need to make sure that it can do what we need it to do, especially because we're now painfully obvious to the interstellar community what with the Tavaxians making themselves known. It's only a matter of time before the Earth needs to start joining that society, whatever it may be. We, of course, will need to learn more about that. Xenofreeze, how much interaction did you have with any form of interstellar society before you left your world?
So what would be the accurate answer? I mean, probably not me directly, I would venture to assume, but
Actually, I was waiting for this question to come up, and to date it, I was waiting for this question to come up ever since August 26th of 2022.
Wow.
Have we been playing that long?
Oh, we've been playing longer than that.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and I will throw this up in the Facebook chat, but it's clearly marked Alien Notes for Ixion.
Oh.
Remember when I said there was a point in time where I was jumping way ahead because you guys jumped ahead? Yeah, this was one of those.
Yeah. Nice.
So that is all information that you would actually know, Derek. So go ahead and crack open that document and have a lookie.
All right. I'm just looking. You've got the major political factions of the galaxy. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's only 2.5 pages or 2 pages. There are 4 primary sectors, if you will, or groups of beings within the galaxy. There's the Galactic Union, which we are already aware of. There is the Tavaxian Empire, which are separate from the Galactic Union. There is also the corporate sector, which is a division that's owned specifically by interstellar corporations. And then there's the Free Systems Alliance. There are 2 small systems that are specifically unaligned with the Galactic Union. Other than that, I mean, I do know a little bit more, but amongst the other races that I am aware of.
Which section of that society was your race a part of before you left?
We were a member of the Galactic Union. All of the Salanthi were.
See. Interesting. Obviously, you haven't been interacting with them for some time, so I'm not going to probe you deeply for specific details unless, of course, anything that you can think of will be helpful to us once we begin learning more about them, which I'm sure we'll have to, given the threats that exist and the fact that... Please.
Considering that I've only relatively recently reacquired my ship, and we've only since been able to start sending out open-ended messages into space. I can put one out on the Galactic Union's wavelength to see if I get a response back. Considering that I may very well be one of the few left of my race.
I see.
Well, hopefully they might
Booyah!
be able to tell you if there were survivors.
That is my hope.
And they might be able to send reinforcements to help fight off the Travaxians or whatever they're called.
The Tavaxians, they are not as active or as clear and present danger, if you will, as Tyrex the Tyrant. However, they are a very close second at this current point in time.
It would seem that anything that calls itself as an empire would follow that pattern. They plan on conquering territory and taking it forcibly unto themselves. Does that seem to be what the Devaxians do, according to what you've learned of them?
They are currently, or they've, as far as I've known, they've continued to push the borders of the Galactic Union, trying to encroach on them. They are actively hostile, and they don't allow any outsiders within their borders of their parameters of space. But there is a race called the Ubari that they share a border with, that they are most often hostile towards them, but they are by no means friendly towards anyone other than themselves that I am currently aware of.
I see. Then we'll need to assume. Yes.
Sounds like most empires to me.
Precisely. Then we will need to consider them a threat. I was wondering if perhaps negotiating some sort of treaty with them would be possible. Do you think that has any chance of success?
Considering our presence here, if we can put forth a obvious strength towards them, then they would more likely be inclined, I would estimate, to form a truce so as not to endanger themselves. But if there is any chance that we show any weakness that they would be able to take advantage of, they would.
That would explain what they're doing now.
It seems they are just observing to see what potential there might be.
Have you ever seen Tavaxians do this to other races that weren't as advanced as them? Does this follow their pattern that you know of?
That you have no idea of, unfortunately.
I am unaware. I only know of their hostile nature. I don't know what precursed their violence towards other races or regions. I know because out of character, we had a run in with them previously in the past, haven't we?
No, you have not.
Oh, we haven't. No,
No.
we have not had any direct relation with them, but at least not as a.
I don't have the
Racial
capability
sphere.
of showing the map just yet, but you're
Right.
like kind of far away from their territorial boundaries.
Oh, okay. We are quite some ways away in our quadrant of the galaxy. However, we have had minor interactions, but not anything of a racial or battle or war scale by any means.
I see.
It's been hearsay and reports of what and rumors of what we have heard from them, but most what we have heard has been from allies of our own, and typically are not the most friendly sort.
I see. Tyrix the Tyrant, have you ever known him to be a part of any of these alliances, or has he been a solo actor with whatever forces he's mustered?
What would that be, Jerome?
That would be a great question. I'll give you a chance to possibly know.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll your reason.
Green.
Green. Well, you didn't study a whole lot of intergalactic history in your classes. You are obviously more into biology and anthropology of alien species. But what you do know is that Tyrex is a member of the Duradian race, and they're rock-like human individuals, I should say. And their race is actually formed like a Khanate.
Formed like a what?
A Khanate, like Genghis Khan,
Oh.
a Mongol horde.
So the only thing I know of him is that he is Duridian. The Duridians are a humanoid, almost like a granite composition. They typically have earth manipulating powers, so they would be what the earth would be considered as SPBs, but he's somewhat of an anomaly because they are typically a peace-loving race. So other than the fact that he has become a tyrant of sorts, I would not know.
All right, then. We need to focus on what we can, at least providing as much of defense as we can, which also means not just creating a lunar base for direct defense if we're ever attacked directly, especially by interstellar vessels or these Tavaxians in force. We need to make sure that humanity, that Earth, can actually catch up technologically. It is far behind, it seems, most other races in the galaxy, at least those that are sapient and capable of traversing space. Interesting.
I know we can take for granted that the majority of Reichshield's advancements in technology have been, at least in large part, based on my ship.
True.
The interaction with my previous anatomy was of different sort, but is also part of the technology that is there, and I would assume would be able to be derived into many different things based on even DNA.
Good to know. All right, then. So we have two goals thus far. One, typically much broader than the other. And that also leads to a third. So, to recap so far, because of the impending possible enemy that we will need to face, along with the Devaxians that are currently here, we need to accelerate the creation of that moon base as much as possible, which at the same time means we need to accelerate the technological development of the rest of the world, not just New Prussia, so that we can work as a united front within interstellar society. However, adding technology without society itself advancing to the degree where it can handle said technology clearly has its problems. This society we currently have is already so fractured with the number of nations that it has, the wars that it fights amongst itself, and the bigotry that exists still, especially towards superpowered beings. Much to actually handle.
Quite.
With regard to what we can handle immediately, the lunar basin to vaccines, Lightbringer. I know that New Prussia had been creating that vocal translator, and it seemed that one of the languages they were trying to translate was Tavaxian. Do you
Right.
know of any updates to that? Have they been able to translate their entire language?
I haven't checked in on that, but I can certainly ask.
That will be crucial. If at least I or we could obtain that, I could then rapidly learn that in order to easily translate whatever they say in any communications we receive, along with if we can incorporate that into the translation device. Therefore, if you can communicate with New Prussia to obtain that, that would be ideal. Speaking of which, do you know Sagan's status? Is she returning to Strongford?
I have but to ask, and she will be once again assigned to me.
Have you decided if you want that to occur?
I thought maybe we could discuss it as a team. Do you think the risk is outweighed by the benefit? I know she's been an excellent addition on several fronts, but if you have concerns, now is the time to talk about it.
I myself have no concerns with her specifically. Clearly, she is part of the New Prussian forces, and therefore, that's at least currently going to have some impact on our interaction with the rest of, especially the United States. But seeing as how we're trying to ameliorate that tension with the creation of the lunar base and the defense of Earth, perhaps her presence would be helpful in order to smooth that over, to demonstrate that the people of New Prussia are not to be feared. If anything, we need to catch up with New Prussia, and therefore there would be nothing to fear, especially with regard to Reichshield.
So, are you wanting to kind of make her like an ambassador in a way?
That's an excellent question. Either a liaison or simply a friend of the legacy, and of course, technically tied to Lightbringer being her specific bodyguard. Then again, would it be necessary for Lightbringer to actually have a bodyguard with her?
It
Uh,
it could come
my
off as
grandfather seems to think so.
yes, but you having a bodyguard could be perceived as a weakness.
There's a lot of other perceptions that could exist that I've already voiced my concern about.
Of course.
I will mention when I spoke with Jurgen, um, he said initially he had been upset with Sagan for not sharing certain things that we had discussed, such as mainframe and certain sentiments intimate to the team. But understanding why she held back those certain things, he got over it. But at the same time, I was impressed that she wasn't simply feeding intelligence back to New Prussia. She was legitimately
Part of the
ours,
team.
mine. Yeah. Her loyalty was to me.
Interesting. That does make it more palatable. I would agree to have her return and have her again assigned to you in whatever capacity you would like to deem it, of course. She would be technically your guard, assistant, what have you. However, incorporating her with the team officially, of course, that needs to be discussed in the future, which does bring up something else that I don't know that we have time to deal with now, what with all of the enemies we are facing and the threats that we're facing. But perhaps we do need to become more organized as a team to form a charter, rules that we follow, that we can actually look upon and amend as needed. That way, there's no question as to what our ethics are, our goals are, what we do, why we do what we do. I'll see what I can do about creating a draft that then the rest of us can then look upon and change as needed. But in the meantime, facing these threats, head on or otherwise, I believe needs to take center stage, top priority. So, with regard to Sagan, if you're able to contact them and have her return as soon as possible, the more help we have, the better, especially if we can have her presence help with smoothing over the transition with regard to the lunar base.
So would you like me to ask about her willingness and ability to negotiate on behalf of New Prussia?
If she's capable of taking that role, then definitely. I'm not sure if she's done any type of diplomatic work in the past. Are you aware of that?
I don't know. As far as I know, she's simply a member of the science police.
And that itself may be enough. I'm not sure that she needs to be an official diplomat or liaison, but at least her 2 cents, her input can be valuable because she is a member of that society. She understands how they think and what they do. And clearly, based on her actions, as you just mentioned, she is not trying to dominate. She is trying to assist.
Okay. I can do that.
Excellent. And also, if you're able to obtain that information regarding the vocal translator and the Devaxian language, it's also highly important.
Okay.
I think something that might be of value is actually having. There's a program that used to run in schools a long time ago called Rosetta Stone. There's a whole bunch of other. I know there's a lot of other language programs developing in using computer technology as well. If we could create something like that instead of having to rely on the auto translators, that might help us as well.
Rosetta Stone is probably like active right now in our timeline. I don't remember when it was, but
I think it was in 94s because I think it was in schools when I was in schools.
we're right there. So
With that said, then, Lightbringer, do you happen to have one of those translation devices with you?
92.
I don't think so. Jerome, I don't have a translator, do I?
No, you do not.
Okay. I can ask Sagan to bring one.
Excellent. I can then take a look at it and see if it can be improved upon. Likely it can. We can then make it our own and create duplicate copies for each of us. That way it can work within the field, especially with all of the new races we are clearly going to be interacting with in the future. Excellent idea.
Unless English is a universal standard, which would make life for us a lot easier.
Does my ship have something similar to that, like as far as like transmissions to translate, like for intergalactic communications and whatnot? At
It
least to some rudimentary degree.
it can, but really the only thing it would be able to translate, and it's not to voice, it would be to uh, essentially text, which would be kind of like a intergalactic common, and it's
Mhm.
it's very very basic. You could not use it to translate a conversation. At best, it can be used to say where are you going and input coordinates. Where are you coming from? Input it's
We come
very
in peace. Yeah.
yeah. It's just
Dundes Biblioteca.
yeah. It's very very basic.
You can ask where the library is. Yeah.
You would know that there are upgrades that you could get, but obviously not from around here, not without making it. Your ship didn't come with it because that's not what the focus of the ship was. You knew the alien races you'd be interacting with, they didn't have any sort of translation protocols for.
Right.
Speaking of which, Xenofreeze, how have you been coming along with your anatomy and ability to change?
I've been trying. I mean, out of character, I've been trying as much. Has there been any
Nope, no
development
change.
at all?
Nope.
I am currently at a standstill. It is disillusioning. Though I can, through previous experience and minor experimentation on myself, when what you would consider my flesh is damaged, I am able to manipulate myself very minorly to effectively what would be considered to close an open wound, and that is about the extent of it. Out of character, that's all I was able to do, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, if I like, so I'm experimenting and I'm trying to like cut myself, and instead of just going whoop, done, it's like I got to concentrate, and it kind of melts itself back together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to try something real quick. Xenofree, Ixion, do me a favor. Think in your native language, how you would normally communicate. And I'm going to connect with your mind. I want to see something.
You would not be able to understand. It would almost sound like bubbles underwater.
Still.
And whale song. But what would you like me to think of?
Anything. It can be a sunset or something like that. I know we are experimenting with the idea of an auto translator, but maybe telepaths can at least get the basis of feelings off of people. So if they're thinking I'm about to stab this person, but saying I'm going to shake their hand, we might be able to better to figure out their intentions before we get stabbed in the face.
Okay. I will start off by thinking about the equivalency of like a lullaby that my mother used to sing as a child.
Okay, sure.
And he connects with Ixion's mind. Does it just come in as garbage?
Oh yeah, it's a weird aquatic whale sound.
So that's not going to work. You were right. I apologize. I just wanted to test to see if we didn't have another resolution for this besides relying on an autos translator.
Try something else and see if you see a discernible difference. Now,
how about this? Think of an image.
I will sing a or think of the oppression the Dexamites did when we had liberated ourselves, maybe like a war song or a war chant.
Still all garbage?
Oh yeah.
Just to see if you could tell the difference of the intent.
Angler, do you think that you'd be able to develop that sense in order to understand intent beyond language?
I would have to focus a great deal on it. I've been recently trying to get my. I'm worried about mainframe, and he'll just as a demonstration because he can't get it to work right yet. I'm trying to find a way to make an EMP so I can stop him, or a swarm of bots, or if Dr. October suddenly rises from his grave because I still don't believe he's dead, and be able to stop his technology by creating an EMP wave.
How would you be able to detect intent from a machine?
Well, a machine's different. I don't trust a lot of artificial intelligence. I've read too much Asimov.
And at the same time, if you were to employ an EMP, you could very well inhibit our own brother.
I understand that, but this is a defensive measure, not an offensive measure. It is not a first line of defense. It is a secondary.
How far have you come with that ability?
I can now generate lightning, which is, I guess, something that goes along with it. What little reading I can generate from it says that plasma can be essentially ignited through electrical force to create a wave. So I guess my mind was catching up to what my body was trying to do, or in one of those directions.
Is there a way that we could protect Hyperion from an E EMP?
I do have a degree of self-protection, and he goes ahead and activates his reflection ability, so you all see that like white outline that's kind of shimmering just kind of around him. And he goes, this can deflect at least a small degree of intense radiation, especially directed as beams or blasts. However, I'm not sure how effective it would be towards a strong EMP, but as long as it's not constant, I can recover from that type of damage.
I don't think it would do damage. I think it would shut you down, which is what the reason why I'm trying to be able to direct it a little bit more. But I haven't even created the first wave off of it yet, so I'm not even, unless it's miraculously develops in the middle of the fight, I'm not that focused on it.
Understood. Of course, keep us up to date with your progress on that. And if you need any assistance, I'm sure Shone, with her innate power in that degree, could assist you with developing it.
I'm quite sure Shion could just do it on her own. Since her powers seem to be focused directly around electricity, I imagine if she condensed it to the umpteenth degree, turn it up to 11 as it were, she would be able to just pop a wave like that.
Well, I am able to affect electrical things. I mean, I'm able to short circuit in a way.
True. Versus technological beings and enemies, that will be extremely valuable, of course. And it seems that you did emit a type of wave or blast inadvertently when you were all affected by that meta-activity augmenter in Argentina. Have you accomplished or tested that ability since then, Shone?
No.
Perhaps something to train in the training room along with Angler.
Agreed.
In the meantime, has anyone else come upon any other information we need to discuss?
I do.
Then for now, I'll see what I can do about contacting Senator Miles Barrett to see if we can actually establish that working arrangement between New Prussia and the United States for the lunar base. I'll get back to the rest of you once I know when that will occur. And in the meantime, again, I'll be continuing to work on advancements here in the base, especially with our computer system now that we don't have mainframe to run it. If anyone needs me, of course, I'll be here. Dismissed.
So, Freddie, when would you like to begin?
I'm always available for training.
Well, let's go then.
And he will begin. Hold on. Pulse. Sorry, I'm pulling this up because as much as Freddie knows this, like off top, Justin is a little bit in basic on it.
Okay.
So, are you aware of what an EMP is first, Shion?
I kind of got the gist of it. It kind of stops electrical current within technology.
Pretty much, that's a good way to put it. What it is, it's a wave or a pulse of energy that I like the phrase saps, but it basically shuts down electronics around it. Unless it has something called a Faraday cage, which is something that the military uses often to protect its equipment. Cars, for instance, are built with this idea of discharging electromagnetic pulses from around it. Because of that, what you should be able to do is, I don't know all the details. I am sure Carmen could give you a better understanding about the idea, about how it should work. But I believe if you were to generate enough lightning in your hands and then suddenly discharge it all into itself, if that makes sense, it should be able to discharge away from it that would shut down electronics. But I'm not sure if that is the best explanation from it. Because lightning can do that. Just a lightning strike can send out a wave that can shut down some electronics. It can be electrostatic discharge. How they build computers is they actually have this thing on their wrist that has a little metal toggle, a little metal device that touches your skin, and you clip onto another piece of metal, so all the electricity in your skin is discharged into the metal, so while you're working on the equipment, you don't accidentally fry the circuit board you're working on.
Right. I mean, what I have is electrical generation and also manipulation.
And that's why so far the best way I would know how to describe it, because I've just started the experimentation myself, is to create a lot of a ball of lightning in your hands, condense it, and then just let it discharge all at once. Don't let it fizzle out. Just let it go out on its own and fly out of our hands.
Well,
that's the best way I can describe it. And I'm not sure even if that is the right way to describe it.
Well, let's put your theory into practice and let's go into the training room and I will try it.
Oh, he would have been talking on the way to the training room.
Sure.
Okay, so once I get inside there, she'll want to generate a large ball of lightning in her hand and discharge it.
So with the intent of making an electromagnetic pulse?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and spend 100 karma and get a red result.
Okay.
Oops.
Let me see what my... come on. Be nice to me. Nope.
Okay.
Green feet.
So you form this electrical ball in your hand, and it's kind of rolling and writhing around, sending off discharge like everywhere. And you try to focus, and and it just, it dumps out obviously a lot of electric shock all over the place, but not. It doesn't do what you want to do.
And I'm working on a form that's kind of like the sun. So the sun is actually able to generate these waves of EMP off of it whenever it's the coronas flies out. If you've ever seen the way that we visualize the sun and how you
Solar
see
flares.
these whips, yeah, solar flares. These
I'll be
whips,
back in a minute.
Okay.
these whips of mass popping off of the sun, very similar. That's what I'm going to try to do, and he's going to do the same. And I'm imagining this is going to be based off of which of my skills, off of electric charge, or plasma.
That's what you're attempting to do. You're attempting to make a power stunt based off of your PR4 electricity generation.
So it is off of the PR4. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, it is roll.
And you'll have to spend 100 karma too.
Yeah, which is fine. We got that.
PR. Nope.
Yeah, didn't think so. No. Yeah, Davy Jones. No.
So in the
And
meantime,
all
okay, go ahead.
And all we can do right now is try. Because if these Tavaxians have significantly advanced technology, but forgot to shield themselves, or more importantly, they shielded the outside but not the inside, and we have to raid one of their ships, we can now shut down a whole bunch of their ship with this methodology.
Well, I wasn't expecting it to just be perfect right out of the gate.
Practice, practice, practice. And that's what he'll continue to do.
Same.
He will sub-vocalize to everyone. Hyperion, Faraday cage spaceship, spacesuits.
I can see about actually modifying our current armors and the equippers that we use to generate them to allow for that, especially enhanced energy deflection.
But also for the oxygen tanks and the systems that would be in control of that.
Exactly. We'll definitely need that, especially for creation of the moon base. Excellent
Yep.
idea. And so Hyperion then is also going to see if he can contact the office of Senator Miles Barrett.
Alrighty. So you put through a call. Beep, boop, 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 boop. And gets through to a secretary, and this is Senator Barrett's office.
Hello, this is Hyperion of the Legacy in Strongford, Colorado. We recently spoke with Ambassador Tom Nolan, and we're hoping to actually get an acquaintance and some sort of appointment or meeting with Senator Barrett as soon as possible.
So she says, hold one moment, please. Na 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 na.
Hyperion now just looks forward to the hold music.
It's like, man, everybody's using that Kenny G music.
Oh man, I was calling a doctor's office last week, and they had I was on hold for quite a while. They had the most rockin' old music. I was almost disappointed when they picked up.
Could you put me back on hold for like 2 minutes? Thanks.
Just want to finish the song.
That
Yeah.
song was my jam.
It was really fun.
I mean, who knew Metallica 1 could be put for hold music?
So, the line comes back on, or the I should say, secretary comes back on, and she says, we could probably fit you in tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Excellent. We can do that. And this would be at your physical offices, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Excellent. In fact, if possible, could I get that address from you, please?
She, of course, and she provides the address to you. It's, offices in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. We appreciate this. We'll be there tomorrow at 11. He goes ahead and hangs up.
Okay.
And then he goes, Hyperion to the Legacy. We have an appointment with Senator Miles Barrett tomorrow at 11 a.m. Therefore, if anyone wants to drink tonight, please don't get a hangover by tomorrow morning. Repeat, no hangovers. Thank you.
Why do I feel like that was more directed towards me?
It could be. It could also be directed at me. I've had to put aside a lot of my own personal feelings about Carmen's grandfather. And he'll try again and it'll blow up in his face, of course.
Okay.
Come and get me and take me to the hospital.
After that's done, Hyperion's going to see about first modifying the computer so that it has a type of like a replacement for mainframe, but it won't be an artificial intelligence. It'll just be like have a vocal interface, like a dumb artificial intelligence, but it's not cognitive or anything.
Gotcha.
So he's working on that.
Like the Whopper. Shall we play a game?
Yeah. Maybe sounding a little better than that, but yeah, more or less.
So we lost Justin. I'll probably back in a second.
Yeah.
So Carmen, at this point officially, then it sounds like you've got some downtime while your siblings are in the danger room, dangering about.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Grandpa.
Oh, okay, Grandpa.
On the phone. Not just.
So not on the communicator. You're actually gonna like dial the number, go overseas.
Oh, I mean, I guess if I have the communicator, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah, we'll do
She
that.
wants to sit on his lap and get a Werther's original.
And a pony.
Yeah.
So,
He probably would get her a pony too.
if she asked, yeah,
If she asked.
that's pretty simple. Like, are you sure you
She-
don't like want anything else with it? Like, no, just a pony.
She doesn't want a pony.
So you patch it through, and they patch you through their communications network at that point. And he said, he comes through and he says, "Oh, hi, sweetheart. How are you doing? Nothing's wrong, right?"
No, actually, I just thought it would be good to follow up on our last discussion. We've made some headway. Actually, we brought the lunar base idea to the ambassador that we work with in Argentina, and he put us in contact with a senator that can that seems like he would be amenable to the partnership. So
Well, good.
we've got a meeting set up with him tomorrow. In the meantime, we've been really discussing the extraterrestrial security issue.
Mm-hmm.
Hyperion's wondering if you were able to finish the Tavaxian translation um, suite on that device that we worked up.
It's from what we can tell, it's about as good as it's going to get, short of having other members of his race available to us.
Would you mind sending us one of those with the Tavaxian on it? We'd like to be prepared in case, we have the opportunity to encounter some of that.
Of course, we can have one sent to you. That's not a problem. We're already starting to manufacture some of them on a small scale.
That's wonderful. Also, I thought I would let you know, we did some poking around on Electrum's database and figured out that guide that was from my vision. He's called Tyrax the Tyrant.
Ah, yes. I'm familiar with the incident.
I thought you might be. Just passing that along. No action items on that yet, except obviously my brother is eager to get his hooks in.
Right.
When the time is right.
Understandable. Have you spoken at all to Mr. Higgins?
No, was he there during the incident too?
Unfortunately, the United States had to bring out all the old guns from retirement in order to defeat this alien individual. And he was one of the ones that were on the scene, yes.
All right, thanks for that tip. We'll follow up on that.
I don't know how much of it he would know or remember, but he was definitely one of the first responders.
Sure. Definitely worth following up. We also wanted to ask, so could you send Sagan back to us?
Of course, all you had to do was ask.
And would you be comfortable with her serving as sort of a liaison in these talks about the base?
I see. I don't know if she's qualified exactly to do that. I would feel probably better if you did that and she perhaps advised you.
Okay, we can do that. We can work with that.
I think it would probably be better coming from somebody who is related to us as opposed to someone directly from us. Kind of like how the United States uses a third party sometimes to kickstart negotiations with hostile nations.
Sure. Okay. But we thought that she might be a good representative as far as technology and character that New Prussia has to offer. So
I see. I don't see her being a poor choice in that regard. Obviously, there are other individuals who are more skilled at that, but I'm certain we can work with our internal operations to maybe bring her more up to speed.
Okay. Just giving you a heads up on that if it was a possibility. Obviously, it's early days yet, but this is going to be a priority since we don't know what kind of a time frame we're working with. So,
of course, I will have her sent over first thing. We'll probably have something arranged for tomorrow, if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds great. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
He says, I hadn't considered it. We did get some updates regarding our Tavaxian friend.
Yeah, is he doing okay?
Well, I mean, aside from some of the usual things, such as like dietary concerns and whatnot.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Right. Apparently, food that we consume is consumable for his kind as well, although he seems to not take well to chicken. I'm
Huh.
not entirely certain why, but it's
The
something.
most bland kind of protein there is.
Right.
Very interesting.
However, we did find out that it's not the Tavaxians who are assisting the Russians.
Really?
It's some race of aliens called the Ubari. And
Ubari.
he's provided some sketch work of what they supposedly look like. I have to tell you, Carmen, they look positively dinosaurish. Something akin to Triceratops that was crossed with a human.
My favorite
Huh.
dinosaur.
The conspiracy theorists were right. I'm sorry that my computer was my internet was going out, but did she remind him of the plan for the moon base yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, not that part. I'm not sure how I want to broach that. Maybe we'll pitch to the senator first and then see.
Might be
How
better
it's
if she did
received.
it in person with her grandpa, face to face.
Perhaps. Yeah, I'll put a pin
With
in
the
that one.
Werther's original.
That's really odd. Were you familiar with this Ubari race previously?
Only briefly from the database that your brother kept on his vessel. So our information is
Okay.
sketchy at best.
So how does that change things if it's not the Tabaxians?
It means that there's more than one party involved. From what we have gathered, that the Ubari and Tavaxians are currently at war. Our friend, who has still in a holding cell, but we've upgraded it.
Does he have a name or a designation?
He's designation red right now.
Designation red?
Correct. For his skin. I know it's not exactly very original.
Okay, so that's not a name that he gave
No,
you.
that
Okay.
is correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that works.
But according to this visiting alien, the Ubari and Tavaxian nations are currently at war, with the Tavaxians winning. His belief is that the Ubari broke the quarantine that apparently is on Earth and are coming here to try and find some sort of, I guess, backwater way to defeat their enemies. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense given the fact that most of our technology prior to New Prussia's formation were significantly behind these other alien races.
Interesting. Do you know if they found anything promising?
I do not know. We have spies within the Russian government at this point trying to ferret it out. But to their credit, they're doing an amazing job of compartmentalizing most of this information.
Okay. That's really interesting. Cool. Well, I suppose we'll have more to report tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Was there anything else I could clarify or help you with, or anything you wanted to talk to me about? Like speaking of which, is your roommate recovered?
Oh yeah, she's good. She's good.
And did you give her my apologies?
She said that you don't fit in our house.
Well, that is correct. That was a interesting observation.
She was surprised. But yeah, it's fine. She's doing well.
Was there anything else?
Nothing further today, I think. But I'll call you again soon.
Well, my frequency is always open to you.
Thanks, Jurgen.
You're welcome.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And it cuts out.
All right, so Carmen will head back to the main area.
Okay.
Or wherever Hyperion's working.
Yeah, he's at the main computer in the ready room right now.
Sure.
Okay. So she'll walk in there and say, do we have anything in there on the Yubari?
Yes, that race you mentioned earlier. Let me see. And try to pull up anything in the database regarding the Yubari.
Okay. So it comes up. There is a small notation. They are a reptilian race with a bony frill, 3 small horns, and bulky form. 4 fingers, 4 toes. They resemble humanoid-looking triceratops. While they are mostly herbivores, they are known for being very capable mercenaries. It does note that it makes like a side note that apparently the Dexamites subjugated this race several hundred years ago. And the last note is that they're in an ongoing war with the Tavaxians due to claims on similar systems.
Let's all that up on the screen, of course.
Okay.
So Jurgen says that what they've been able to communicate with the captive Tavaxian, who they're calling Red. It sounds
am I
like
in there right now?
Yes.
Red seems to be very redundant, considering all Tavaxians are, their skin is all sorts of shades of red.
That's what I was thinking too, but I suppose it helps that he's the only one in the country or in custody.
Understood.
Seems like it would be like calling you girl as a designator.
If they're the only one, they only need one designation.
True.
Be that as it may, he says it sounds like it's not the Tavaxians that are working with the Russians, it's the Yubari. And the Yubari broke the quarantine and came to Earth to try and find a way to beat the Tavaxians. Now, whether they found anything that was going to do that, we don't know, especially dubious because of our comparative technology level, but that's as much as they've been able to understand from him so far. But they do have a workable language suite, and they'll send a translation device with Sagan tomorrow, so we can get started on that too.
Excellent. It is making more sense now. If the Ubari are the ones supplying technology to the Russians, I wonder if they know something about the Devaxians' actual goals here that we currently don't know. The Devaxians don't seem to have made any other moves other than their orbiting ship above the Earth, and the one or possibly more Devaxians that are here, like Red. Did he mention anything regarding why the Ubari are choosing Russia to provide that technology?
He didn't, but I didn't ask either. I didn't think about that. It could be that that's simply the first contact that they made.
Let's see. Let's see. Hyperion is going to look, he's probably not going to be here, but he's going to look through the vein database to see if there's any type of like Ubari vocabulary or anything that would help us communicate with the Ubari if we find them. Was any of that in the vein database?
Go ahead and give me a reason check. If you have anything for computers, you can use that.
Ooh, yeah, computer operation. Sweet.
I want to take a moment and
Scream into a pillow.
I'm going to go to my ship and put forth a broadcast on the Galactic Union wavelength to see if I can get a response. What would you suggest my message would be, other than Tavaxian and Ubari potential conflict within on this planet?
It's actually difficult to say. By the way, I got a green feed Jerome.
Okay.
He goes, that is difficult to say, seeing as how the Earth technically does not have any current relations with interstellar society as of yet. Did Salanth have any specific allies beyond just the Galactic Union?
Though the Galactic Union is quite large, that is who our allies were. Somewhat like your United Nations here. Though they are of different origins, when one was in danger, the others would help as much as possible.
It seemed as though it might be the case that there were perhaps other of your kind who weren't on your planet when it was attacked by Tyrex. Do you think you'd be able to send out communication to fellow Salanth to see if there are any left?
I have not received any. I have sent out multiple broadcasts.
I see.
I haven't seen any responses back, have I, Jerome?
Mm-mm.
Is there any central government to the Galactic Union that you believe would actually assist a world like the Earth that isn't a part of any union in order to fight off these aggressors? Especially since they do seem to be at odds with the Devaxian Empire.
I am unaware of a specific, but I can reach out. As I say, I know there is a specific wavelength that the Union monitors and all but owns, that all transmissions are gone through that. I can also put in innuendo of my race and my origin to see what could be done that way, to where if any of my fellow Salanthi have contacted the Galactic Union, I may be able to get assistance there.
Excellent. I suggest continuing with that, but of course, be careful. Do everything that you can to encode your message in a way that can be understood by friendlies rather than hostiles, especially since there must have been some reason why Tyrix attacked your world. It may be that he's trying to exterminate your race, and if he's aware that you exist and is able to triangulate the position of your broadcast, that could inadvertently bring Carmen's vision to reality.
I will remit from admitting my race, and I will send out the correspondence in what would be considered galactic common.
Excellent idea.
And I'll go and start that.
Okay.
Sending something off,
So
not in reference of that, to where
you go to send that off. I just posted in the chat, Dale. The only reference that you have there is the Ubari homeworld, Zemix.
Okay. All
Not
right.
to be confused with Xanax.
Or Zemnis.
Then then Hyperion brings that up on the screen. That seems to be one of the only things that Electrum knew about the Ubari, their homeworld. I wonder if we can also attempt to communicate with them directly. But it sounds like you were saying that there was a quarantine that existed for the Ubari. Is that correct?
I think it was the insistence that Earth is off limits to extraterrestrials.
I see. We are the quarantined location.
Right.
I wonder if there is some sort of directive that these different systems actually follow when it comes to races that are beneath their technological level. If that's the case, perhaps that could be used in an attempt to garner support from the Interstellar Society to help us. Hyperion goes ahead and he goes, Hyperion to Xenofreeze. When making your communication, see if there's any way you can also direct a message to the planet of Zemix, the Ubari's homeworld, to see if they can provide any information as to why they've come here specifically, and if they're willing to provide any help, or if it's just information.
I will.
Excellent.
So I'll add that into a second transmission.
Okay, so what is your first transmission saying?
The first transmission is reaching out to the galactic, to whom it may concern of the Galactic Union. I am a representative of a research vessel on the planet Earth in the neutral zone. I have recently been made aware of both Tavaxian and Ubari interactions with with this world, and with the potential of siding with locals to advance their technology, and to, based on some of their prior engagements, there may be a potential hostile incursion on the horizon. If you can get back to me on a secured channel that with what's the word I'm looking for, out of character, with the correct credentials, then I will be willing to divulge other information that I have.
And send. Okay. So,
Bing. And then the second one going to Zemix, sending something out that says, I am a representative on the planet Earth that is reaching out in communique to you to find out if you are aware or what is the status of your division or people that are in this area and communicating with the Earthlings. It was previously known that this was a neutral zone and was not to be made contact with, and curious to see if this is something that is sanctioned or otherwise unknown to you. Please respond.
Okay, and then send. Boop.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany,
Yes.
you make a roll in the supers chat using Remarkable 30. Let me know what you get.
Green.
Okay. Must be
Green,
green.
green.
Must be green. Okay. Okay.
Super green.
Super green.
Are Chon and Freddy still working out?
Perfect.
Actually, not at this point. No.
So Carmen is gonna go find Chon.
Okay. She probably has a towel at this point, like patting down her face from the heat and exhaustion of trying to push out an EMP and not really pulling it off. Her hair's a little frazzled. It's electricity
Vein
after all.
throbbing in her
Yeah,
forehead.
Shouldn't it be used to that?
I mean, yeah, but doesn't mean you
There's
want
a
your hair.
lot of it.
It doesn't mean you want your hair looking like you touched a lava lamp, for hours on end.
Hey, how did it go?
About what I expected.
Is that good or bad?
I don't think it's either one or the other. It's just I wasn't expecting it to just happen right out of the gate. It's gonna
Sure.
take some training and manipulating. Yeah.
It's all in the reflexes.
So I was hoping you could help me with something.
Sure. What is it?
I need to plan a date, and I am drawing a blank.
A date like in with a guy?
Yeah, I said I would think of the activity for the next one, and
You met somebody?
oh, I mean we already knew each other.
Who? You have to give me what's that called? The info.
Funny if Vixiano's there. That's easy. Just touch them with your kabloop and then florp them.
Whoa.
It's quite innocent when you do that.
You don't
This was
flop
a-
on the first
not-
date. Hold on.
It's not like it's not like flalooping.
Oh my goodness. This is getting way too serious.
Getting the biology of a salanth.
TMI.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sledgehammer, right?
Oh, that's not right.
Seriously? You're going out with him? When did this start? You didn't tell me.
No, like 3 days ago.
And you're just now telling me?
we had stuff going on. It was kind of a little crazy, and I just had a lot to think about. So,
I I mean, it's
But
like,
I'm telling you now.
Hey, Shun, I went out with Sledgehammer last night. Went good, went bad.
I'm not really good at this sort of thing. So, and we just watched a couple of movies at the drive-in. On a rooftop. The mask stayed on the whole time, and
Did
I don't
you
know.
kiss
There was
him?
popcorn. No. Why would I? Why would I do that? No.
I mean, what if he's a bad kisser?
I guess we'll find that out later.
Better find out soon.
Is that like a deal breaker?
It could be. I mean, why would you
I mean,
want a bad
do
kisser?
people get better at kissing? Can you like practice that sort of or is it like you're bad then it's over?
You know,
Seen Lightbringer like
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to. I saw it in one of the movies you guys got here where she was practicing. I think on an orange. I guess if he's bad, you can give him an orange.
Is that like an understood thing?
I don't know. It's in your guys' movies.
I don't know. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's seen that movie. Maybe he would take offense at that. I mean, he's a pretty nice guy as far as I can tell.
Okay. If you come back from a kiss and you're having to wipe your mouth, deal breaker. Move on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that seems fair. Okay. But let's move along from the kissing, and so I need to come up with an activity that we can do in costume, because we're not crossing the secret identity thing. Not at this point. So what can we do?
Well, it depends on where you want to do it. I mean, do you want to do it here? Do you want to get zapped to like Paris or?
We are not. I mean, like, probably it would be better if we didn't employ anyone else for the execution.
I mean, I could just zap you there and in 4 hours come back and get you or something.
Let's table that for now.
Okay. So something here. Can't really see you guys going dancing in your uniforms. How about a picnic?
A picnic is mostly talking, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton of talking at the last one. Okay, we could talk.
You know, eating and talking and
okay. Yeah.
maybe
okay.
Maybe some wine.
Okay, we could do that. What if he doesn't drink?
Then just more for you.
Okay, that's not terrible. Okay, what do you think? What do you think I should bring?
Well,
what do you have for picnics?
Well, Brad he got like sub sandwiches and some potato salad. And he drinks beer, so he brought beer. Yeah, and then something for dessert.
A chocolate cake.
Yeah, and if you make it yourself, that'd be even better.
Harry,
I can try that.
You can't cook, right?
I mean, I don't really cook, but how hard could it be? It's just chemistry, right?
Right. And you're not doing it from scratch. So, what is it? Milk, eggs, and
It's some flour, I guess. I don't. We'll figure that out. Okay. Okay. We can do a picnic.
we need to go get like a blanket for you, and we get like a cute little picnic basket. This is gonna be so much fun. We got to go shopping.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And
Okay.
she's just gonna grab her sister's hand, and they poof
Okay, so they.
to the nearest mall.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so they
As
poof.
if anyone has a picnic basket,
Right.
it's the mall.
You poof into the
Girls' restroom.
So this was a blind teleport again.
No.
So go
She's been
ahead
to the
and
mall. She's been to
go
the mall
ahead-
so many times.
go ahead and give me a roll for your teleportation again at this point.
Oh, good grief. Sorry if you land in the toilet.
Great.
Okay. Okay, I am 30.
P.S. Can you guys hear my typing when I
but
type? You can.
Mine,
bit.
but mine's just as noisy.
Okay.
I got one of those mechanical.
Yeah, Angler, you're muted, by the way.
Oh no!
Oh no! What did you do?
White
White.
feet.
I apologize.
All
I said,
right.
meanwhile, back at the vein, Freddie sits down with a college level book on physics,
Okay.
trying
I
to
hate
figure
this
out how
roller.
to create a electromagnetic wave with plasma and electricity better.
Okay.
So he's trying to supplement his physical abilities with his educational abilities.
All right.
Karma will be proud.
Carmen and Shone, you guys see them just spontaneously at mid conversation disappear from the vein.
Oh, when they started talking about the dating stuff, he walked off.
Yeah, no problem. So
Oh, you guys would have heard Shone squeal. I mean, clear across
Right.
the vein.
and then you guys teleport. It's completely black, and you both come spilling out of a janitor closet in the women's restroom, and we're talking like toilet paper and urinal cakes going everywhere as you guys spill out from the
They don't-
closet.
They don't keep urinal cakes in the women's bathroom.
Mm-mm.
Just
So-
FYI.
We don't have urinals. I mean, at least not in Oregon.
Random cleaning supplies.
Fair enough.
They did in '94.
Oh,
Oh, did they?
My mistake.
Okay.
Things have changed?
Depending, if they don't have a supply closet in the men's room, they would keep urinal cakes in the supply closet in the women's room if that was the only
suppose
place.
that's
Yeah, that'd be
Suppose
funny
that's
if you're in
fair.
in the men's room instead.
that would
Okay,
be funny.
well,
But nevertheless, this is what happened.
Shone like shakes her leg to get the bucket off of her foot.
And Carmen starts stacking the toilet paper again.
So, I mean, at that point, some lady comes walking out of one of the stalls and like looks at the two of you, and she's just like, doesn't even say anything, just kind of shakes her head and goes to clean her hands to just walk out. You two look quite the sight for some reason. The closet open and the stuff just spilled out everywhere.
Getting some supplies. I love this character.
I think, yeah, let's act normal until she leaves, and then we'll wait a minute, and then we can
Okay.
leave.
So Shone acting normal. She's just kind of bent over, shoving everything back into the closet with her hands,
Okay.
kind of kicking a few urinal cakes in.
So, I mean, it doesn't take terribly long to get everything, because you're not. Carmen is trying to put it away neat and orderly. Sean, not so much, just kicking and chucking things back in the closet.
Oh yeah, as
So
soon as
it
the
gets
lady
on-
leaves, slams the door, grabs Carbon, and runs out the door.
Yeah, I mean, it gets done a lot faster than you anticipated, but it's a complete hack job.
Okay.
And you two come, rushing out of the bathroom, and the bathroom's on the
You
second
know,
floor of the mall.
and keep in mind, she didn't brush her hair. So the first time she sees herself in a mirror, she's gonna like panic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's got some pretty bad static hair right now.
It's just
You know
trying
what?
to bring back 80s hair.
It's I didn't really notice, so I'm sure it's fine.
So yeah, she's getting dragged across the mall.
You guys are going to check out the mall. Ixion, you don't get any sort of message back on your. I'm in immediacy, from the messages you sent out.
Okay.
It's a long ways away, so you're probably not going to hear anything back for quite some time.
Speaking of which, Jerome, since
Yes.
Hyperion did in the past go through Ixion's ship, and he's learned a lot about that.
Mhm.
How much would he understand about their communications technology? I'm assuming that is also faster than light, but it's not infinitely fast.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Why don't you give me another reason check to see just how well you understand?
Green feet.
Green feet. Okay. It is more advanced. Obviously, there are parts of it that are still kind of universal, like radio frequencies and whatnot. What needs to happen to make it more effective is the vessel would actually need to be in space, near a space lane, and it communicates with buoys at that point, which also work to help guide ships in, much like hyperspace lanes on Star Wars. So they, if the broadcast can hit that, then it basically bounces at what you assume is probably faster than light, which would obviously speed up the transmission. But it's a matter of, did it get to the lane correctly?
Okay. So then there are these lanes, are they naturally occurring, or were they made?
No, they're made. Yeah.
Made?
I mean, think of it along the lines of the Oregon Trail. After somebody blazed the trail, then they kind of left a map and said, okay, well, here. These are probably good spots to, to stop or rest or refuel or whatever. And then as time progresses, those lanes kind of become maybe, secondary lanes and so on and so forth. And think Star Wars in that sense. Very, very hyperspace lane-ish in that sense. So, but it takes somebody going through it to navigate it successfully first. Then they set up the buoys, which would help them guide ships so they don't accidentally run into something like a planetary mass or whatnot.
Got it. Okay. All right. And so that's the typical. You're not just flying faster than light anywhere you want. You typically follow a lane to make sure you're not running into things.
That is correct. You can.
Okay.
I mean, it absolutely is possible. From what you can gather from the ship, it's just not safe.
Right. Okay.
So when thinking of space, think very similar to Star Wars dynamics. You don't want to just randomly go flying out there in space because your ship may not have the appropriate charts for it. And if you go off a hyperspace lane, who knows what you might come across.
Yeah.
In other words, what he's saying is, don't pull a Shone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you
blind
might fly into, the women's closet and be covered in toilet paper and urinal cakes.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Let's see. So Hyperion's going to pause what he's doing as far as trying to upgrade the computer, and he's going to go find Freddy wherever he is in the vein.
Probably just finishing up a shower.
Probably the furthest point he could find from that conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So then, as he's finishing that and getting himself dressed, Hyperion will find him, walk in, say, Angler, Freddy, I was actually wondering if I could speak to you alone for a moment or two.
What's going on?
As not just leader of the team, but as your brother, I am trying to garner an advanced understanding, or as advanced as I can, regarding everyone in the team and all of my siblings. And I understand from past experience and what you've voiced and have made obvious, your reticence towards dealing with New Prussia or with Reichshield, really in any regard other than attempting to incarcerate him for past crimes. However, you have recently said that you are willing to put that aside, apparently for the sake of the team. So I'm wondering, away from the rest of the team, would you be willing to tell me what your reasoning is there? Why you feel the way you do and why you're willing to put that aside?
Because it's not about us. Right now, along with Reichshield, along with everything he has done in his life, all he has demonstrated is pure unadulterated racism. Whether it's towards a specific religion, whether it's towards a specific nation, now it is superpowered beings versus non-superpowered beings. However, humanity is at risk now, and if he is willing to initiate the conversation about making a space station to look outwards and not inwards, it is worth the effort to see if he's willing to, for lack of better phrasing, throw himself on his own sword and say, I will take the blunt of this damage. By financially backing it, by using his team, and letting other nations be the forerunners operating it, it shows he is willing to hand over some of the power that would normally be for him.
I see.
Because if it was just about us, I would say he can walk into a volcano and drown in it. Because I'm pretty sure the magma wouldn't hurt him.
You may be correct there. I see. So it's a matter of focusing on the greater good and putting aside your feelings for him in order to obtain that greater good.
I don't like the phrase greater good, but close enough.
What phrase would you use?
There isn't a good one. The greater good, right side of history, these are phrases used to justify atrocities in the name of the right way of doing something or the most appropriate way of doing something. It's how so many nations have justified the actions of sitting around and letting tyrants run their nations. And let's get away from Germany for a moment. Take a look at the Soviet Union before its is this during its collapse?
No, it's Soviet Union's already collapsed.
Before the Soviet Union collapsed. And take a look at what Stalin did in the 40s. Millions upon millions of people died cold and starving, waiting for food. And people still blindly followed the man. If Jurgen can humble himself by paying for it, helping with the construction, because it will require more than one nation and more than just all of his New Prussian SPBs, and he allows other nations to be the primary front runners, it'll at least show he can be humble. And that is a start for someone who is trying to avoid actually answering for his war crimes.
I see. Interesting. Being a part of this team, what is your perception with regard to what we do as a superheroic agent of justice or good? It seems that your idea of good is that which can be manipulated by the powerful to convince others to do what they want, developing cults of personality. What is it you think the goal would be?
Our goal should be to help the people who can't help themselves. Remember when we locked down Sunnyside?
Yes.
That was... I said it wrong, didn't I?
Yep.
Akira's
like
gone
it.
with it anyway because he understands what you mean.
I like it.
Whenever we lock down that part of the city, it's a tremendous thing. It's the reason why I never wanted to have anything to do with them again. Because we are taking the unpowered, the disenfranchised, and putting more pressure on them to be better than everyone else, even though they lack the power and they lack the strength to do it. Come on, let's be honest for a moment. I'm sitting there welding things together with the power of the sun in my hands. How many of the citizens do you think is going to come along and stop me?
Of course. I understand where you're coming from. Many superpowered beings have magnitudes greater power than a typical, even extremely athletic human being.
The truth is we can only do what we think is right in the moment. And in this moment, if her vision is true, if Jurgen is being honest, then this is the best option we have to protect Earth and the human race. So, I will put aside my own personal feelings about the man for now. I won't berate him. I won't insult him in front of Carmen because I'm not here to be that mean to her lineage. She had no idea who her grandfather would be.
Of course.
So it's as simple as that.
Excellent.
Because my opinion would be shove him into a volcano and see how long it takes for him to drown.
That then makes me wonder about another thing. Do you think it is ever justified to kill a sapient being, no matter how powerful they are, no matter what they've done?
Yes, it is very justifiable. But are we talking about justice or are we talking about ethics and morals?
Are they not interlinked?
They may be interlinked, but they're not the same. If someone like Jurgen tries to attack and kill me and I defend myself and I kill him, is what I did moral? Is it legal? Yes, it's legal, and most people would see it as a moral thing to do. But is it ethical? Should I shove my hand in his face and fill his body full of plasma and see if that'll kill him? That is the ethical part. Just like if someone comes up with a handgun and starts shooting me, should I stop and even backhand him with half the strength that I have to defend myself? They may be interlinked, but they're not the same.
If you were given the chance, perhaps I shouldn't ask this question.
Again, push him into a volcano and see how long it takes for him to drown.
Yes.
I do not like him. He has not answered for his war crimes. He has not even apologized. Because he hasn't done those things, the healing that is required for Jurgen to become a good person will never occur. Because what he sees at the time, he sees as a right thing to do. And sadly, that's all we can do is take a look at what we're doing now and see if it's the right thing to do. Because tomorrow, in 100 years, in 1,000 years, how will history look back and see what we did in Sunnyside and go, did they do the right thing? They were under orders to do it. No harm came from it in the long term, except for the death of someone who was trying to enslave others. Did they do the right thing? And we don't know what future generations going to say about us. All we can do is make sure as close to our actions as we can, make sure they're the right thing to do in the moment. Not for the future, not for 10 years from now, not for 100, but right now.
I see. Thank you for this conversation, brother. I appreciate it.
It's a hard question, and it's something the other two people in my triplet set don't think about, is whether or not what they're doing is right or wrong anymore.
Simply follow orders, it seems.
Yep. Monarch said, let's go get them in Argentina, and they showed up to come get us in Argentina. They didn't stop to talk to us. They immediately want to put inhibitor collars on us and arrest us. Why? Because we were doing something that the government cannot do, which is actually save those people. Because the United States government can't go down there and just suddenly start stripping away the power that the Argentinian government has. But a group of rogue superpowered beings, we can go down there and we can do that. We don't represent the government. We represent ourselves in a private corporation.
Do you find that what we do as being independent and not directly tied with a nation per se, or a corporation, or a special interest group, that what we do has the same ethical bearing, greater, lesser? What do you think?
That's a good question. And the problem is we won't know until we get something that conflicts with our own morals. But the way that, and Justin can't remember the name of the president who's been in charge of us. The way Aegis has been treating us has been as completely independent people who are operating under their umbrella for protection. They have not given us an order since Sunnyside that says otherwise to something that we morally object with.
I see. Thank you for the clarification. I'm glad that you were willing to tell me. I know that it's sometimes difficult to admit to what you believe, but you do so without qualms. I can tell that you hold ethical action in high regard. I'm glad you're part of our team.
And I know you are your own being, but you're also an AI, and you're all these other things. You're not just a robot or an android. But we all have our limits. One day you're going to find what yours is, where someone's going to tell you to do something, or someone's going to tell you not to do something, and you're going to do what you think is right. And everyone else around you is going to look at you like you're crazy. It's what Carmen's been doing a lot of. She feels that Jurgen talking with her grandfather is the best thing to do. Accepting his help is the best things to do. And she will continue to do so, even though many other people would disagree with her. We all have those points. You ask me today what I would do if Jurgen wasn't trying to help out and save Earth. You've heard my answer several times. Push him in a volcano and see how long it takes for him to drown. Well, and be damned with the consequences that come afterwards.
Well, if you ever have the urge to push an SPB into a volcano, please alert me ahead of time.
I doubt it'll ever get to that point. Right now, there are very few people who I feel like that. Jurgen is at the top of the list because, again, he's a war criminal who is not... He can't be punished because the few people who can punish him would have to kill him to punish him. There is no just bending him over. You're bending him over his someone's knee and spanking him. He would heal too quickly.
Understandable. Thank you for your time. I'll let you get back to your training. I do need to finish the advancements to the computer. If you need me, that's where I'll be.
I've got some reading to do. I need to figure out how to create an electromagnetic pulse. I'm trying to create the corona effect off of a star, but I'm not sure how well that's working out right now. And I don't know if Shion would respond to a scientific approach to how she can manipulate her electricity-based abilities in order to create an EMP.
I see. I can actually assist you if you have a moment, at least give you the beginnings of what you could do to produce the effect you're looking for.
Oh, I understand the basics of the physics of it. I'm going to sit down, and he holds up a big old physics textbook. I got some studying to do.
Excellent. If you need any help with it, you know where to find me.
Absolutely. Although, I would suggest maybe drawing out wave functions that could possibly generate an EMP for Shion. That way, maybe she can use a visual as a way of better understanding, maybe.
Understood. I'll work on those calculations.
And then he'll pop down on the bed and he'll open up the textbook to Coronas.
All right. So with that, we'll time lapse into the next day. You guys have done shopping. You've done some work on things. We're doing a scene transition a la Wayne's World. Xenofreeze made his radio transmission from Radio Silanth.
Smooth Silanth jazz. God, the station's terrible, Switch.
Everything
I
sounds
don't know, I
like
think it's a little relaxing.
everything sounds like Dory trying to sing to a whale.
Some people put on, ocean sounds.
Yeah.
If you're Patrick Bateman, it's a completely different type of ocean sound.
So we're at the next day at this point. We're gonna fast forward then to your meeting with the senator.
Yep.
I'm assuming everybody is going in costume.
Oh yeah, we're
Do
the legacy.
we get Sagan back?
Yes.
Is she allowed to come on the premises?
She's going to remain behind for safety purposes.
Oh, they don't want a new Prussian agent in halls of power.
Not for optics initially, no.
Fair enough.
That wouldn't be a good idea.
Are we zapping? Poofing?
Yeah, we'll poof just outside the building to make sure that we've got plenty of space, and of course he gives you the address and all that stuff.
Hey, cold teleport! Let's do it.
We can do it.
It's not me, it's the roller. You need to tell it.
Give me a white. Give me a white.
Do we need a reroll?
Oh, doggone it. Davy Jones just gave her a reroll.
It's like
Thank you,
Jerome's got his
darling.
own teleport fumble chart.
Right.
Oh, why am I not?
Yeah.
Is it
not
not
working.
working?
That is weird.
It's not working. Somebody else try.
I'll just try a random one.
Did you copy and paste or did you?
No,
No,
Yeah, not rolling
type
for-
it.
not
Nope.
rolling for me either.
the roller's dead.
That's weird.
Rest in peace.
Dale killed it.
No. I didn't mean it, I swear. Huh. Yeah, it's literally not working.
yeah, nothing.
We have two.
Do you want
chats
me
that
to-
seem to have it?
Well, then just roll a D100.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. That'll work.
And then with the RM30, I can tell you guys what she got.
Does it show on your side?
No, I have the chart pulled up.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
did. I keep a chart pulled up as well on in the
roll 1d100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So slash roll.
Slash R.
Slash
1D100.
R space 1D100.
Oh, you can use the other bot instead of a die.
Yeah.
Oh, can I?
Uh-huh.
So
Slash
what-
R. Then space. And when the prompt comes up, 1D100.
45.
45.
Green.
Just barely a green result.
I like this roller better.
Nice.
So, you guys disappear and reappear then just outside of the main building, coming up the big marble steps. Yeah, Davey's like, yay! No urinal cakes.
for the moment.
Yeah.
The day is still young.
Yeah.
Don't even.
I'm the
Don't.
cock of the walk.
My luck, it'd be like something, be like all of a sudden that Ixion would be like, this is wonderful. It tastes divine.
Oh my god.
Do you have any Team 4-star stuff on your
Here, let me give you some hot sauce.
Yeah, he's breaking out with a urinal cake and Arby's sauce. He's like, this is fantastic.
Our brother's a little weird.
But so you're in DC. You guys know what DC looks like. Very congested with buildings everywhere, old looking buildings, many of them made of stone and marble. And as you, of course, appear, security, draw their weapons. They don't point them, but they draw their weapons because they are alarmed. Clearly, that somebody just materialized out in the front. But after a little kerfuffle with the security, you guys are ushered in, waved down with wands, which doesn't do a whole lot of good. Pardon me, doesn't do a whole lot of good. But one at a time, they start bringing you back into the office spaces, and other people that work there, lesser agents of the government, as well as other people that may help the senator or attorneys, so on and so forth. They're kind of like peeking down the halls and watching you guys walk by, in your costumes, like, whoa, what the heck is this all about? And then you come into his office. It's a very nice, quiet, plush office. Wood paneling, 90s style computer on the front desk in his. You've got your bookshelves with a bunch of legal precedent and documentation. It's got some filing cabinets in here. The man himself actually looks. I don't know if you remember him. You can also Google him if you'd like. He looks like Fred Thompson, who is actually a senator, but he was also a movie star. He appeared in a number of different movies, usually politically based, or he also appeared in some sports-related movies. Like he appeared in Necessary Roughness as the, I think, the superintendent or something of the college. So he's in there a couple times. But if you look up Senator Fred Thompson, he passed away a while ago. You'll know what he looks like. So older
So
gentleman.
he's an old guy.
Yeah, older gentleman, balding hair, looks kind of fit, a little pudgy. So he probably played sports at an early age. Motions for you to have a seat, and he says, I appreciate all of you coming down. I take it, and he points to Hyperion. You are the individual that called us, correct?
That's correct. Allow me to introduce the team, Senator. I am Hyperion, the leader of the Legacy. We have Lightbringer, Angler, Shone, and Xenofreeze. So he points to each of them.
He says, it's good to make your official acquaintance. I don't know if you remember, but just prior to your escapades in Argentina, I met with you and Mr. Danvers.
Yes, exactly. Well, if we can get right to it, clearly you, as well as the entire world, are aware of the aliens that have made their presence known, the Tavaxians with their ship in orbit around Earth, and of the hostilities now between Russia and New Prussia that are building. We have it under good authority. In fact, we have some ability to predict what may happen with regard to threats. We're aware of a possible future alien incursion by a being that Electrum himself actually fought many decades ago, but was simply repelled and not fully defeated. He may attempt to make a return from wherever he comes from in outer space. And along with that, there are clearly extraterrestrial threats. There appears to be societies of beings beyond simply the Tavaxians in orbit. And humanity is ill prepared to handle any possible incursions. To that end, we have made some unofficial contact with President Albrecht of New Prussia because his forces have an idea of creating a lunar base that can act as a type of defensive fortification for any extraterrestrial incursions. However, in order to accomplish that, it's clear that they would need assistance, especially from the United States of America, in order to actually fund the operation, provide the technology and the manpower to actually create this base as effectively and rapidly as possible. Time is of the essence. I know you are not the president himself. However, you are keen to superpowered beings and the plight of empowered beings being, well, treated as lesser. Therefore, we're coming to you to see if you'd be able to help establish some sort of communication, relaying this idea of how to defend the world so that we can actually defend it.
So just so I understand this correctly, you say you have it on good authority that there's this alien menace that's going to come down and wreak havoc on planet Earth, and you want me to take to the president this plan to partner up with probably our mortal enemy as of this point in time, short of the Cold War, to make a base on the moon to protect us with their assistance against alien incursions.
Effectively, yes. I understand the situation is not ideal. We are painfully aware of how Jürgen Albrecht and the society he's generated, but especially him, looks upon the rest of the world, with him being technically a war criminal. Be that as it may, the world is aware that the Tavaxians are real. It should be made aware that other beings that are technologically far more sophisticated than what Earth currently possesses are real. I know that it would be difficult to actually put behind us the hurt that's been caused, but if some sort of negotiation or communication could at least be established to see if this is even possible, or if the United States needs to generate some other form of defense instead of a moon base, so be it. But whatever we can accomplish needs to be done as soon as possible. We ourselves, of course, would be assisting. We have advanced understanding of scientific and engineering concepts and can generate technology accordingly. And in fact, in our hometown of Strongford, Colorado, there is actually a company known as Quantum Unlimited, which we know has actually been quite effective at creating advanced technology rapidly. They may be able to assist.
And so your understand let me understand this then, backing up a little bit. You came up with this moon base idea?
I did, sir. A lot of it. We can show you the plans if it's something that you would like to see.
I don't need to see them just yet. So what makes you think New Prussia would even want to partner with the United States for something like this?
Because the entity that we have good information on that may in fact be coming this way is in fact a world destroyer. He has destroyed at least one known world in the extended galaxy.
I think it's a little bit simpler than that. I think he's just trying to save his own skin.
And with that, regardless of current conflicts, the lack of Earth will not do any of us any good.
Effectively, this is the enemy of my enemy is my friend situation, to put it simply.
Which could, in fact, create a friendship, or even, at minimum, a neutral partnership to where there would not be any hostility eventually.
Or even maybe some healing between nations.
He'll actually violently look away whenever that happens.
You're gonna violently, so define
Not violently, but
violently
he makes,
looking away. Like
he
you're
like-
trying to cut somebody down with an invisible I-beam, just like
like he looks away whenever she says about the healing.
okay. So dramatically with some flair, Angler just kind of like it looks away. He says, well, last I checked, last time we had some sort of alien menace, or so the record seems to claim, came down, Electrum and some World War II heroes managed to defend him off, and government seems to think that our current Justice Legion is up to the task. I can just tell you that, speaking from experience.
Are you willing to stake the fate of the entire planet
Well, I
on
apologize,
that one
Lightbringer,
team?
but that isn't exactly my call to make. I'm just a senator.
You
The
can
object
voice
here
that.
is to attempt to give me something that's going to persuade me to, and subsequently persuade anybody I speak to swing their vote this way, because what you're proposing is borderline preposterous, even if we saw the plans. And we're talking about an isolationist nation that could very well decide to do this all by themselves.
Would
I
you
don't-
not want to be involved in that in its own essence, then?
Well, that's like asking us if we'd want to be involved in the Russians' nuke program.
I
It
don't
seems
think
to me that would be obvious. The answer would be yes. That way you could at least keep tabs on it on a first-hand basis.
That's not how politics works, son.
I think the reason why New Prussia would want to do this is because they don't have the manpower to do it themselves. I think if they honestly had the manpower to do it themselves, they wouldn't be reaching out to other nations. They'd just be making a moon base already. However,
So they're
this-
reaching out. Who are they reaching out through? Because you didn't lead with that. You're coming up with the idea that you said this was all your own.
it is more than just us, but the biggest issue that we have is if New Prussia could do this, I don't think they would have done it. More importantly, Monarch is not as strong as he wants to be. He is no Electrum. He's not going to defend Earth the way that Electrum could. Or even Shield. As strong as Shield is around two with the
Aged.
Warlord is not going to end well for him. And I've seen him
Furthermore-
recently. He is getting back into shape and he is looking good these days. But he is still an octogenarian and we need fresh young blood. And Monarch is not going to be the guy who's going to lead this nation into a better position. He's going to be following his ego and whatever makes him look better.
Well, I'm not going to cast any aspersions or doubts on that particular statement. He does seem to enjoy the limelight, but I'm simply relaying what the United States government thinks of their state-sponsored team.
You mentioned Russia. That's a pretty strong keyword here. As you know, I'm sure they've recently come into more advanced technology than one would expect from someone with their history. New Prussia is known to be extremely advanced, much more advanced than the United States. They've offered to share some of that technology with the United States in exchange for this partnership. Specifically,
So who exactly came up with this idea and these plans? Because you're going to have to forgive me, I'm sensing a little duality here, especially on the announcement that they have some technology they want to share. And your apparent ties to Reichshield.
President Albrecht has reached out to me personally to help manage this offer.
So they were the ones that initiated this contact.
Yes.
And what exactly are they wanting to share?
Anti-gravity technology.
I'm no scientist, but I don't know of anything that the United States has currently that could match that. I mean, these
I guarantee you.
SOBs have some sort of magic phone that they're starting to produce out on the marketplace. So boggles the mind.
Out of character, does Carmen have one of those smartphones?
Yeah.
So she'll pull that out and show it. You mean this, sir?
And he's just like, and he kind of looks at it and he's like, son of a bitch. And he says, and he kind of looks at it, he says, do you mind? Can I take a look at that?
She'll cautiously hand it over.
Okay, so he's like kind of like touching the screen and like watching because it's touch screen, and he's like, you just flip through stuff and you can access the internet in this thing? Man, no wonder why my kid wants to get one of these things. So
Sir, if
he hands it back.
If the United States can establish a friendly relationship with New Prussia, our technology is going to grow by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, but at
I've
what
personally,
cost? I think that's what's going to scare everyone, and just thinking this through, this sort of partnership is going to make him, whether we like it or not, an actual nation. I'm sure it's come under no surprise that they are banned by many countries around the world and unrecognized. And if we did this, it's in essence giving him legitimacy.
by your estimation, given what we've told you now, understandably, it's all hard to accept as being real, what with all of the players effectively being involved in all of the moving pieces, so to speak. But by your position, what would it take to actually convince the United States government to at least begin these negotiations to start a project like this?
I don't rightly know. I'm going to have to think that one over. But there's precedence for this sort of thing. It's not like enemies haven't lined up and had conversations before and attempted olive branches. That's how peace is made, or at least truces when they sue for peace. And so you say you've got full workups of this lunar moon base thing. It's not some like James Bond thing that you're coming up with?
Yes, sir. I mean, James Bond or not, it's real and workable.
Why don't you provide me a copy of that? And based on what I have here, let me see if I can run this up the ladder and see if I can get somebody else to kind of co-sign on this before I take it before the president.
Out of character, is there any worry of them perhaps taking the plans and not taking the deal?
That's a great question. Why don't you roll your reason?
It's a senator. Do you trust them as far as I can throw them?
By all rights, that's quite a ways.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not even talking about a rocket-powered javelin
Yellow.
throw either.
Yellow. Okay.
Oh, hey, it works again.
Based on what the plans are calling for, the United States right now, based on 1994 technology, is at least 50 years off of that.
Right.
Okay, so it's not like
even if they took
they
it,
they don't
there's
have
no
the
way they could
technology
initiate
to
it.
be
Yeah.
able. Okay, then I would feel comfortable handing him the plans.
Okay.
Which I would have brought with me just in case
Sure.
they were called for. So I'll slide a folder over to him.
So you materialize that from your quantum pouch, and he's just like, "Oh man."
SPBs,
More
am I right?
technology.
He says, "Now, is there a better number or a way to communicate with the rest of you as opposed to just regular phone lines?"
My identity has already been blown, right?
You know what?
His has.
Yeah,
I
you're,
think
Yeah,
he's
like
public.
yours is the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Since my secret identity isn't a secret anymore, much less along with my military past, just reach out to me at Quantum Unlimited. You can leave a message for me there, and then it can be scientific research.
all right. I will take that information down and pass that along to my secretary.
Excellent. We appreciate your efforts, Senator. I know this is a lot to ask, but I hope you can understand. We're trying to do this for the benefit of all on our world. We're trying to defend it.
No, I completely understand, and of course the whole alien thing has caught everybody by surprise. Don't know if you watch any daytime television, but it's gotten quite the buzz. But be that as it may, sometimes you have to take pretty big risks if you're gonna stay ahead of the game.
It's a little hard to watch it when you live it.
Understandable.
like
Against-
Monarch's weak ass punches.
He says, "I'm going to have to take your word for it, son. But you might not. You're in the capital of the United States right now. You might not want to say that too loud."
I've said it to his face before.
Well, again, Senator, thank you for your time. And he stands up and goes and shakes his hand.
Okay, so he shakes your hand.
Are we poofing from here?
Let's
We should probably walk out.
precisely. We can do that outside. So Hyperion
Sure.
then leads the team out.
So you guys walk outside the building. Of course, everybody's still kind of like guffawing as you walk back out. It's like, whoa, superheroes, and the office, whoa, making their comments or whatnot. And as you guys step out, some guy comes rushing up to you, suit and tie type of guy. Of course, his tie is like all over the place as as he's running, just a little bit of a breeze, and he's like, Lightbringer, can I have a moment of your time real quick, please?
And you are?
He says, he gives you his name. He says, I work for an on-air personality. We'd love to have you on the show, kind of talk about, well, I don't know, superhero things and get your take on the world and whatnot. You're becoming a really popular woman.
Oh,
You know,
Cheers.
there.
um,
She's just not the only one.
do you have a card?
Oh goodness. So he pats himself down real quick and produces a card. It's got his name on it, and he's actually he works directly for Tucker Limbaugh, radio talk show host, who is has recently been announced that he's getting his own television show.
I'll give it some thought.
He says, "Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to get your take on most things going on in the world. I mean, after all, you're becoming kind of an international star ever since it came out who your grandfather was. We want to give you the opportunity to speak your mind and maybe let your fans know a little bit more about you."
I see. Well, thank you for your interest. Have a nice day, sir.
He backs away and offers to shake your hand.
She'll shake his hand.
Okay. He says, no, thank you, and kind of waves to, conciliatory to everybody else, and quickly runs back down the steps.
So, do you think that he would get excited if I was to tell him I'm Egyptian demigod?
That's pretty spicy. I think.
In a conversation that should be happening elsewhere.
Oh, buzz off. She's the dude's granddaughter. Everybody knows it.
I'm sensing
you're a
somebody.
half fish thing.
I'm sensing
and everybody
somebody's
knows
about
it.
to be dropped into a women's closet with toilet paper and urinal cakes. Just like, I know where that's at now, punk.
Yes, but most people don't know about you.
And whatever. Let's go home.
Agreed.
Yeah, I need to make some
Yeah.
cake.
She poofs.
Okay.
Cake?
Yeah. Right as
actually,
he said
Is
cake,
it
you guys
somebody's
teleport.
birthday?
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll make a test cake at the vein.
Huh. Why are you making a cake?
Because she has
Um,
a date.
For practice.
Oh. A practice and a date. Interesting. Is
What
this somebody
date
we
number
already
is
know who it
this?
is?
Can I tell him?
What did Freddie say?
What date number is this?
You guys are-
2.
You guys are
Date
back at the
2.
vein at this point.
Yeah.
Date
Don't
number
you think
2.
a cake is coming on pretty strong, though?
Is it?
Just going
Is that?
on
Is that?
picnic,
Is
no.
there like a?
Do not take
serious-
dating advice from Freddie. Mm-mm.
You know, Freddie,
Mm,
I never asked. Do you have a lot of experience in this area?
mm.
Not recently. I've been busy.
Which means no.
But I'm also not just going out and trying to date. I'm doing research on actual research on the ocean.
And for
I
your
am trying
information,
to find
she
a
is
magical
going
artifact of
on a
unknown power.
picnic.
It's
I know
just
your
a picnic.
anatomy. I know your
I-
anatomy is different, significantly different, but if I were you, I would just, and then you hear like this in my own language.
We'll pass.
She's gonna just stare at
I'm-
him like,
I'm down for a second date picnic, but a cake.
It's
I feel that's coming
dessert.
on pretty strong.
It's wait.
I mean,
should she make a
he-
pie instead?
he made spaghetti for the first date.
Like
Is-
homemade spaghetti?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right, cake is a proper response to that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, if he brings you back home and he cooks for you,
Oh no. There were no homes. No, he just brought it in like Tupperware with some like microwave popcorn, and
They went to the drive-in.
we camped out on a rooftop with, camp chairs to watch a movie. Yeah, the masks were on the whole time.
And since I have dated quite a bit, I would say I'm a little bit more qualified to give her advice.
I'm
you
going
actually
to work
want
on
a
the
legitimate
computer.
response to that particular logic.
Do you want to find yourself in a closet?
I can also find my way out of a closet too.
Not if I,
I
keep
think
putting you in one.
I feel like the closet is like at least date number 4 or 5,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's like for me.
I guess I can
Maybe.
take this off now.
A second date for me is going out onto the beach and spending the day 2 miles away from the shore on a boat. They can't see the land. It's all ocean. It's my bliss. It's my place I like to be. But if you're down for a picnic, I would just say maybe cake is a little strong, but if he started out with pasta, that's an acceptable response.
So let's say if Shanene was to bring you a cake, would you refuse it?
Refuse it? No. But as a first date, it feels a bit desperate. As a second date, it feels
Desperate.
And how many dates with different people have you had recently?
Oh, quite a bit. Hey, you're talking to me.
And you have found my point.
Like I said, I am the
So-
authority on it. And a picnic is just fine. And if she wants to make a cake, she can make a cake.
And while you guys are debating and having this
cookies?
conversation, Hyperion is actually ninja vanished off to another portion of the vein.
Yeah.
I don't know about Xenofreeze, but at that point,
Same.
Sagan, kind of had this look of like, and
Yeah, I totally forgot she was there.
and she hands some sort of device to Lightbringer. And she says, "Your package, ma'am."
Sagan, you're a woman.
Last I checked, yes.
Is a cake too much for a second date picnic?
Oh, no. I am not getting involved in this. That's between you and Warmonger over there.
You're supposed to represent our sex.
His name is Sledgehammer.
I'm Switzerland right now. I do not want to be involved in this because I don't know if it's going to lead to war crimes or something.
Last time I looked, Switzerland were full of pansies.
So you think I'm a pansy for not involving myself in your cake debate?
Hey, you said it, not me.
mean,
No,
do
you're the
what
one
you-
insinuated that.
Are
Do what you
cookies a
want.
level down from cake?
Cookies are fantastic, especially if you can make a. I'm partial to chocolate chip,
Monster cookies with M&Ms.
but chocolate chip cookies, amazing. Second date. If
Okay.
you're doing a picnic, they even carry better because you don't have the possibility of the cake
Oh, that's
falling
true.
apart.
That's true. They are much less messy. Okay, yeah, a cake is much more likely to fall apart in transit. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll try cookies instead.
So what are you supposed to do with all the ingredients we bought?
It's the same thing.
You know what? They'll keep.
It's flour, it's eggs, it's butter,
No,
it's milk.
it's cake mix, eggs, and
You
No,
know,
no,
we
no,
can.
no. You're not going to make cake batter mix. Cake. No, come with me. Come on, Carmen.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
with
You said
I'm down
cake
for
was
helping.
too much of a commitment, but if I'm making cake, then it has to be a scratch cake.
If you're going to do cake, you're going
Scratch
to do it right.
scratch is way more of a commitment than a cake mix.
Cookies, I can show you.
Agreed. No. The cake mix is fine. He would have never known it was even a cake mix. And most people are making cake mixes. Indeed. That's why they have them in the store.
All right, Frody, show me what you got.
Okay, and that's where we're going to stop for the night.
van.
Meanwhile, behind the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore.
Yeah.
So that is going to bring an end to the game tonight. To the next games coming up will be on the 6th and 7th. That is Cyberpunk and Street Fighter, respectively, both at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then on the 9th, which is next Saturday, we're going to be having our Ashland by Night Blood Ties game for the first time in a while. So we're going to be taking back up that and checking to see just what interesting things are going to be happening in that game. So, yes. So, Blood Ties. Yes, coming back. And our next games for this set, we have Ashland by Night coming up on the main Ashland by Night game coming up on the 15th, which is at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then on the 16th, we will be back again with this particular game at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you all again for everybody who tuned in and chatted with us and watched and giggled at the weird sounds. And maybe you had an opinion on cakes being too much for a second date. And hopefully you check
Don't be
out.
afraid.
Hopefully you check
Flirt
out
on the
our.
first date.
Hopefully you check out our videos on demand. You can always go to our YouTube channel to get caught up if you're so interested. So thank you again, guys, and have a good night.
Night, everyone.